In the vast steppes, where the sky meets the earth and the wind sings an endless song of freedom, lived a Bator named Bekzan. He was the son of the chief of the Argin tribe, and from an early age his name thundered from Karatau to Balkash. Bekzan was strong as a leopard, wise as an old oxacal, and generous as the spring flood of a river. People came to him for advice, warriors for protection, and enemies feared his raids. But Bekzan had a younger brother, Sartai. They grew up together, ate from the same pot, drank from the same river, shared saddle and bow. Sartai was weaker than his brother, but more cunning. Envy slithered into his heart like a snake. He envied Bekzan's fame, his courage, his wealth. Why does the people praise him and not me? Sartai thought, I too deserve to be chief. Am I not of the same blood? Did I not ride beside him in battle? Their father, old Chief Oraz, before his death divided the wealth equally between his sons, but bequeathed leadership of the tribe to the elder, Bekzan. This decision became the poison that for years corrupted Sartai's soul. He dared not contradict his father, but after his death he began secretly gathering the discontented. He whispered to the elders, Bekzan is no better than me. He was just lucky to be born first. Yet, most warriors remained loyal to the elder brother. One day, after a victorious campaign against the Kalmyk nomads, Bekzan held a great feast. The whole village drank kumis, danced, shot arrows in celebration. Sartai stood aside, watching people embrace Bekzan, women giving him the best pieces of meat, elders raising toasts to his health. Something inside him snapped. That night, he made a decision that forever divided their fates. He waited for darkness, saddled his black horse, and rode toward the encampment of the hostile Naaman tribe. There, by the fire, he appeared before their chief, Lame Shangis, a longtime enemy of the Argin clan. What does a jackal who comes to wolves want? Sneered Shingis, eyeing Sartai. The Naimans knew of the discord in the tribe. I want what rightfully belongs to me, replied Sartai. Leadership of the tribe, help me kill Bekzan, and I will give you 1/3 of our cattle and open a path into our lands for 2 days and 2 nights. Shingis was silent for a long time, then laughed. His laugh was like the bark of an old wolf. You betray your own blood, he said, but a traitor is exactly what I need. Only don't believe that I will give you power. You will become my dog, and you will eat the bones I throw. Agreed? Sartai hesitated only a moment. His eyes burned with hatred for his brother. He agreed. He told the Naimans everything. When the scouts went out into the steppe, where the weak points in the fortress were, the password for the night guards, where the horses grazed, and how much grain was in the storehouses. For this treacherous payment, he received a bag of gold from Shingis and a promise to make him governor over the subjugated tribe. The next full moon, the enemy attacked. The night was moonless, but the stars lit the steppe with cold light. 1,000 Naiman warriors crept silently to Bekzan's village. The guards slept. They had been given poisoned kumis supplied by Sartai. The battle began suddenly and was brutal. People rushed out of their yurts half-dressed, grabbing bows and sabers. But the Naimans were too many, and they knew all the weak points. Bekzan woke to the cries. He grabbed his sword and rushed out of his yurt bare-chested. His loyal nukers, 40 warriors, were already forming a circle around his tent. They covered each other's backs and fought off the attacking enemies. Bekzan himself fought like a raging leopard. He cut down 2 Naimans, threw back a 3rd, shouted orders for defense. But the forces were unequal. In the chaos of battle, he saw his brother, Sartai, stood on a hill next to Lame Shingis, pointing to the yurt where Bekzan's family was hiding. Now, Bekzan had no doubts. He broke through to the tent where Igrim, his young wife, was pressing their 6-year-old son Bolat to her chest. The child did not cry, only clutched the little toy sword his father had carved for him. His eyes were wide with fear, but he remained silent like a true warrior. Igrim, you must take our son away, Bekzan shouted, leaping into the saddle. Put Bolat on your horse and ride to old Manash's far winter camp. He will hide you. Tell no one who you are. Call yourselves refugees from a destroyed village. I will not leave you, my husband, whispered Igarim, her face pale, but her eyes burning with determination. You will leave, because otherwise our lineage will end, Beksan said firmly. Sartai is looking for you. If you fall into his hands, he will kill you before my eyes. Ride. He kissed his son on the forehead, squeezed his wife's hand, and shouted at the enemies, drawing them toward himself. Igarim spurred her horse and galloped into the steppe. Several riders pursued them, but Beksan and his archers shot them down, covering the family's escape. The battle lasted until dawn. By morning, only smoldering ashes remained of the village. Beksan and 13 remaining nukers took refuge in a fortress, but the Naimans surrounded it and began a siege. The defenders had no food, no water. On the third day, hunger and thirst took their toll. The warriors fell from weakness. Shingiz sent a negotiator. Hand over Bekshan, and I will spare the rest. I swear by heaven and earth, your lives will be saved. The nukers looked at their leader. One of them, an old warrior named Karatai, said, "We will die, but we will not betray. You have saved us 100 times. Now it is our turn." Beksan nodded gratefully. But fate decided otherwise. There was a traitor among the nukers as well. 2 of the 13, bribed by Sartai, opened the gates at night. The Naimans stormed the fortress. Bekshan fought until the end, until an arrow pierced his chest. As he fell, he saw his brother's face standing at the entrance. Sartai did not weep, did not pray, did not ask forgiveness. He looked at his dying brother with cold satisfaction. "You betrayed your own blood," Beksan whispered. "But remember, the best revenge for you will not come from my hand. You will die every day, as long as my son lives. Every step he takes toward greatness will be a knife in your heart." Sartai wanted to say something, but Bekshan closed his eyes. Lame Shingis kept his promise. He spared the ordinary warriors, but ordered Bekshan's head cut off and displayed on a pole. Sartai became governor, but the Naaman yoke was heavy, and people cursed him behind his back. Egerim reached the winter camp of Old Manash, covering 3 days of travel without sleep or rest. Her horse fell at the last pass. She carried Bolat in her arms. They were hungry, tattered, but alive. Old Manash was a famous sage and healer. Once, he had been an advisor to the Khan, but he went into voluntary exile to live in the mountains, far from palace intrigues. His wisdom was known far beyond the steppe. He took in the fugitives without asking unnecessary questions. He hid them in a cave behind a waterfall where no one could enter without his knowledge. "You will live here," he told Igerim. "Call yourself a shepherd's widow and your son an orphan. No one must know that you are from the Argan clan. Sartai and the Naimans will search for you until they find you, but the mountains know how to keep secrets." Thus began Bolat's new life. Years passed. The boy grew up among the rocks, by the fire, to his mother's songs. Together with Old Manash, she taught him everything she knew: to wield a sword, shoot a bow, distinguish animal tracks, find water in the desert. But most importantly, she taught him not to repeat his father's mistakes and never to trust those who had once betrayed. Every evening by the fire, she told him of Beksan's feats, his honor and valor, how he died protecting them. "Your father did not fall to an enemy arrow," she said, looking into her son's eyes. "He fell because of his own brother's betrayal. Your own uncle Sartai killed him. He betrayed not only your father, but the entire people. But remember, my son, the strongest revenge is not killing the traitor, but your successes that will burn his soul to ash. Your life is your answer. Your victory is his eternal shame." Bolat listened and remembered. He felt no hatred for his uncle. Manash taught him that hatred drains strength, while clarity is needed. He simply knew that one day he would go out into the great world and prove that Beksan's son was worthy of his father, and Sartai was merely a shadow fading at dawn. When he turned 12, Manash began teaching him literacy, knowledge of herbs, stars, the history of the Kazakh clans. Bolat was an apt pupil, but the most important thing the old man gave him was patience. Revenge is like a drawn bowstring. Manash would say, if you release the arrow too early, it will not reach its target. If you pull too hard, the bow will break. Learn to wait. Time is your best ally. When Bolat turned 18, he became a tall, broad-shouldered youth with an eagle's gaze. He surpassed his father in archery. He could hit a coin at 100 paces. He was skilled in tactics. Manash told him of great battles and the mistakes of commanders. He knew several languages: Arabic, Persian, Chagatai. He was ready. One evening, the old man called him to the fire. Bolat, you are strong enough to gather warriors and take revenge. But tell me, what would your uncle's death change? He would suffer only a moment. Do you want him to suffer his whole life? Do you want his name to become synonymous with shame, so that even children spit when they hear his name, while yours is celebrated for centuries? What should I do, grandfather? Asked the young man. Forget about him. Go to the capital, to the great Khan Abulkhair. Enter his service as a simple warrior. Do not say who you are. Let your merits speak for themselves. Become the best of the best. Let your fame thunder so loudly that it reaches the traitor's ears. Let him wake every morning thinking, I betrayed my brother's son, and he has become great. The respect of honest people and his own shame, that is the best punishment for a traitor. Bolat bowed to the sage. The next day he saddled his horse, said goodbye to his mother, who had grown old and could no longer leave the cave, and set off. Aigerim watched him go, tears of pride mingling with prayer. She believed her son would fulfill the vow. The capital of the Khanate was a large city with mud brick walls, high minarets, and noisy bazaars. Bolat had never seen such crowded streets. He hesitated for a moment, but quickly collected himself. He entered the barracks of the Khan's guard and enlisted as a warrior under a false name, Bolat from the Jaler tribe. At first, no one noticed him. He was one of many young horsemen dreaming of glory. But soon, his talents became apparent. In weekly archery competitions, he consistently took first place. In tactical exercises, he found unconventional solutions that surprised even old baiters. He did not seek fame, did not boast, did not pick fights. He simply did his job better than anyone else. After a year, he was promoted to captain of 10. After 2 more years, to captain of 100. The war with the Dzungars brought him fame. In one battle, when the Khan's Tumen was surrounded, Bolat with a handful of warriors broke through the enemy ring and led the Khan to safety. For this, he received the rank of captain of 1,000 and was brought to court. The great Khan Abulkhair noticed the young man. You are not like an ordinary warrior, the Khan said after the battle. Your eyes speak of ancient blood. Who is your father? My father was a shepherd, Bolat bowed. He died in the steppe defending the flocks from wolves. I grew up by the fire and taught myself everything. The Khan smiled, but did not press. In the steppe, such a story was plausible. Bolat continued to serve without revealing his origins. He did not want to be promoted because of his father's fame. He wanted to be valued for his own merits. Within 5 years, he became one of the Khan's most trusted commanders. Returning to his native steppes at the head of a large army to pacify rebellious clans, he passed by the village where his uncle had once ruled. Sartai was old now, hunched, drinking kumis without measure and of interest to no one. The Naimans had long since driven him out, taking back the promised gold, and he eked out a miserable existence, begging at bazaars. The news that the famous commander, the Khan's favorite, was Bekshan's son, spread through the steppe in a single day. Sartai did not dare appear before him. He knew that Bolat could order his head cut off in an instant, but Bolat did not do that. He did not even meet with his uncle. He simply sent a messenger with a short letter. You betrayed my father. I despise you, but I will not be your executioner. Your punishment is your pitiful life. Live and remember that I forgive you. Not out of weakness, but out of strength. Forgiveness is my revenge." Sartai read the letter, sobbed, and fell to his knees. He understood that Bolat had truly defeated him not with weapons, not with intrigues, but with his own greatness. The remaining years Sartai spent in deep repentance, helping orphans and the poor, but people shunned him, remembering his betrayal. He died alone, and no one came to his funeral. Bolat returned to the capital, married the Khan's daughter, and became a famous commander. On his father's grave, he placed a large white stone with the inscription, "Fallen by a brother's hand, living in a son's glory." The best revenge for traitors is to forget about revenge and live so well that your happiness becomes their eternal punishment. The traitor will rot in his own bitterness, while you build, rejoice, and rise ever higher. And this is the only victory that leaves no scars.